Okay, now we'll have call to the audience. Are there any call to the audience?
No, I don't, no. No.
Okay, all right, wonderful, moving on. We need to have a nomination and election of a chairperson and co-chairperson. Are there any nominees?
I would nominate Laura Emsley as the chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Bulzami,
Yes.
Ms. Emsley,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Norris.
Yes.
Okay, motion approved. Is there a nomination for a co-chair?
Who's not here?
I nominate Mr. Bulzomi. Is there a second?
Okay, roll call. Mr. Bulzami,
Yes.
Ms. Emsley, I have to say it again, Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Norris.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Now we're going to move into the acceptance of the trust agreement trusteeship. In everybody's packets, you should have one of these with the binder here. If you'll go into the first page, under acceptance of trusteeship, there's a document here that states, I, and then your name, do hereby agree to accept the position of trustee under the SUSD 12 Employee Benefits Trust as of today, September 7th, 2017, and to perform faithfully all duties as such in accordance with the said agreement and declaration of trust. Do I have a motion to approve this agreement as submitted?
I'll move. So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Bulzami,
Yes.
Ms. Emsley,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Norris.
Yes, I think. Just a question.
Yes.
We're approving the agreement?
The document, but I just realized that I have the agreement also.
Right.
Can I move to amend the motion?
I'll just make a separate motion.
Make a separate motion, okay.
Yeah. I'll move that you accept the agreement also.
Is the agreement in the packet?
Yes.
Yes.
It's the second document. Thank you for
So
that. Is there a second?
I can second.
Okay, thank you.
you.
Okay, great, thank you.
So do I roll call? Mr. Bulzami,
Yes.
Ms. Emsley,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Norris.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the review and...
So
Yes, Mr. Norris.
by our action, we basically just need to fill the agreement out and sign it and turn it in.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have a couple of documents. We have one that we'll be keeping here at the office, and we'll also be sending one to UMR too. So we'll be signing all of these at the end of the
Okay.
meeting at that time. Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit more streamlined that way. The agreement has also been signed by the governing board members back in July. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the approval of the policies and procedures as presented in the same document or the same binder that we had earlier. Do I have a motion to approve the policies and procedures as presented?
Assuming that they've been approved by the board as well?
The policies and the procedures have been presented to us from UMR. They have not been reviewed by the board, by the governing
Do they require
board.
board approval?
No.
No?
Just the agreement. The agreement required the board approval, and that was performed on July 11th, I believe, was
Okay.
the board meeting that, July 12th, was the board meeting that, that the agreement was approved. But according to UMR, the other policies and procedures do not need to be board approved. And the policies and procedures, just for record, that are in the packet are the conflict of interest statement for the trust, the conflict of interest statement for the trustee, the code of ethics, the retention policy document, the financial disclosure document, and then the whistleblower policy.
I read all these earlier, so if there's no objection, I'll move to adopt these.
Do I have a second?
I can second.
Roll call. Mr. Bolzani?
Can I have a question?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
That's
Just
okay.
to make
That's
sure
okay.
I understand what I'm packing. So to the extent that we're dealing with policies and procedures, it's only those documents that you referenced that we are considering approval of,
That is correct.
not necessarily this entire book.
All of those documents are in here.
But it's, by approving, we're not approving everything in this book. We're
By-
only approving those documents you referenced.
That is correct, and all of those documents are in this book. There should not be, the only additional item, excuse me, there's 2 additional items in these books. One of them is the trustee contact information sheet, which we'll be reviewing next. And then there's another one that's the ratification of the Wells Fargo account, which will also be an agenda item moving forward.
All right.
So there are 4 different agenda items within the book. 2 of them will be coming up next.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
I appreciate receiving these yesterday, too.
Oh, good, thank you. Yes, definitely, definitely. Wonderful.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Bolzani?
Yes.
Ms.
Excuse me.
Emsley?
Yes,
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
okay, motion passes. Next item on the agenda are information-only items. And I'm going to pass it over now to CBiz to talk about the ratification of CBiz Inc. as our sales and service agency that will be representing the SUSD 12 Employee Benefits Trust.
My name is Christine Cock with CBiz, and we have been working with the district, Sunnyside District, for 4 years now. And we have implemented the trust and the fully the self-funded program as of 9/1. And we act as a consultant and duties as assigned, anything that they need to advise on plan design and answer any questions to employees, to the HR, and we're just available to the district as needed.
Are there any questions from the board for Ms. Cott and CBiz?
Can I make one statement? And for those that aren't familiar with this process, if there is anybody, we also, when I'm from the county, and people always want to know why do you have to have CBiz and a third-party administrator at the same time. Our CBiz, for our purposes, or for this purpose of this trust board, they are our consultant, or they will be our consultant.
Correct.
And they kind of watch them. It's the way I look at it. And they watch, they're worked on our behalf. I mean,
Absolutely.
my experience with CBiz through the county is we probably wouldn't have gotten this far without them. I mean, they're that good. So
Great.
I think it's a great idea.
So CBiz is like the broker?
We're a consultant broker, yes.
Okay. And this gentleman represents UMR, which is the service provider.
That's correct. Yes.
So you watch him on our...
Yes, we do.
You got it.
No
So,
real, we watch him too.
Okay, good.
Everybody's got their eyes on it.
so, and you consult the trustees. Do you consult the trustees as a whole? Or if we had a question outside of this regarding, we do not make that contact, or?
I think that's a very good question. You know what, I'm not sure about that. Mr. Norris, I can look into that though and get back to you. I don't know if that would be appropriate.
I think how the county does it is all questions from individual trust board members have to go through the chair.
Okay. And is
I
that,
require that as the chair of the other trust board. So.
And then we can also, have it for future agenda items. If there's questions or concerns, we can also put those on future agenda
okay,
items. and then-
I don't know that I ever will.
Sure,
I just want to
sure.
make sure if I ever have a question, I don't simply call Christine.
I think that's.
If our policy, our internal policy is going to be all questions are
Directed to the chair.
directed through the chair or to the chair on our behalf, then that's fine with me too.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, we need to.
Unless we have a differences of opinion on the question.
Okay, that makes sense.
I might have a different
I think
position on
that with the open meeting law, I think that if we present all of our questions onto the next agenda for future meetings, then I think that might be the best way to go. And then we can invite CBIZ to present on those items once they reach the agenda also. Okay.
All right.
Good questions though, thank you. Lots of stuff to think about. Okay, so any other questions for CBIZ? Okay, thank you, CBIZ, we appreciate it. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, information for UMR as our contract administrator, and Mr. Anthony Sylvester will be talking to us about UMR.
Thank you, Laura.
Is it Anthony?
Yes, to introduce myself, Anthony Sylvester, I'm with UMR. I'm wearing multiple hats in this instance. First and foremost, I'm the strategic account executive from UMR. So what that means is that I work with Laura and the CBIZ team to ensure that SUSD is happy, to make sure that we're adjudicating claims correctly, and get involved from a strategy perspective as well. UMR is the largest third-party administrator, or TPA, in the country. And what that means is that SUSD has enlisted our services to pay your claims for your self-funded medical plan. I'd like to think that there was a long, lengthy list of reasons why we were selected, but the one that should probably stand out in your minds is that we have a great deal of flexibility when we administer your plan. So this year we tried to minimize change, but in the years forthcoming, you all will be involved with discussions with CBIZ and myself on possible changes to the plan. And as a third-party administrator, we're extremely flexible and accommodating those changes and requests. As far as the trust board goes, you have enlisted UMR for trust services as well. And so I have a team behind me based out of Lexington, actually, that was involved with consolidating these documents, getting them approved and drafted. They do minutes as well. Several of them are actually watching the live stream of this right now. And they'll do minutes, they'll do reconciliation for the trust on the back end, and will be heavily involved. Typically they would attend, but I'm here locally. I'm actually based in Tucson. I live 10 minutes away. So we felt that it was in everyone's best interest if I attended these meetings, took the minutes, etc. But any other questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions? Ned?
I have a
Mr.
question.
Norris? No, please do.
So you're attending the meetings and you're taking the minutes?
Yeah.
On our behalf or on whose behalf?
On the trust behalf, so,
Okay.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So we also have Frank and Sarah up here who are also taking minutes
Okay.
right now.
I was-
So we're kind of
I
working
was
that
wondering
out.
what was going on up there, and he's going to take the minutes, so
Yes.
whose minutes are right?
UMR is working for us. We're utilizing their services as a TPA, and part of those services are to take the minutes to create the agendas. However, for this first meeting, we have, we're trying to follow the regular governing board and BOC process. So the agenda is the same format as what Sunnyside has done in the past. And in the past also, we've had minutes being taken by our assistants. And so that's why Frank Espinosa and Sarah Miller are up there doing minutes also. So we're going to kind of see how this works out and then move forward for future meetings and see who's going to be taking minutes.
So I guess we'll cross that bridge when if we have to
I
get there,
think-
which minutes are going to prevail.
Right, and I think that that's probably going to be from Sunnyside's minutes moving forward, but it's something that I think we'll probably have to put on a future agenda item to make a decision whether or not we're going to be utilizing UMR or Sunnyside.
Second question. I'm assuming we'll cover it at some point under conflicts of interest. I don't see it as one, but my employer covers, I'm covered by UMR
Okay.
at my employment.
Okay.
UMR is covering these employees here. Should I be concerned
No.
about them?
No, that's definitely no. I'm also covered by UMR, so yeah.
But you're an
that's fine.
employee.
Yes, I am, but I'm also a trust board member now too. Oh, okay, wonderful.
So we're,
No, not.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank
And
you.
I don't know,
Mr.
I think we had, you used to handle, or you still do, Desert Diamond? The gaming enterprise?
And Eric's with CBIZ as well.
That's fine, but
Okay, okay. Any other, I'm sorry, any other questions for UMR? No? Okay, wonderful. So moving on, thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Moving on to our next agenda item is the Wells Fargo bank account ratification. The document is in our, oh, hello. We have a member who just arrived. Do we need to
Okay.
announce?
Is that Elaine Jones?
Welcome, Elaine. Thank you for coming. We're currently in the packet that has the spiral binder on it, just so you know. We're almost at the end. In the documents, you'll see here a letter that was written to Wells Fargo Bank. This was done in July, and it was done after the board agreed and to the SUSD 12 Employee Benefits Trust. And the reason that we moved forward and approved Wells Fargo as the bank for the trust was because we needed to create the bank account in a timely manner. So there's no action item on this. It's information only that there was already ratification on the Wells Fargo bank account.
Are they currently your servicing bank?
That's correct, yes. Are there any questions in regards to this item? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next item, the reinsurance contract. Mr. Sylvester is also going to be talking about the reinsurance contract.
In subsequent meetings, should you choose, we can make this an additional agenda item to go more in depth into what self-funding looks like, and what stop loss looks like and how it functions. To keep it at a high level for this meeting, the decision was made following an RFP by CBIZ to enlist UHC BP for the stop loss fender. The stop loss that was selected includes a specific deductible, meaning by person of $200,000. Should one member on your plan have claims that exceed $200,000, the stop loss would start to reimburse at that point. And an aggregate stop loss plan was also put in place, meaning should the total claims for the entire district exceed an expected amount of $7,471,949, the aggregate stop loss would then start to pay and reimburse the trust at that point. Any questions on that?
Who did you say the carrier was?
It is UHC BP.
So Laura, I might add, the Monte Carlo exhibit was done by our actuarial team to help set the $200,000 ISL limit, so that it ran a number of simulations with your claims experience and your demographics to show you the risk versus the reward, and that's why the $200,000 was selected, because it was the lowest cost for the best opportunity to succeed.
Great addition, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Okay, moving on to the next item is the report of the contract administrator, and that is going to again be Mr. Sylvester from UMR.
Quick question for you. And at the end, do we intend to ratify all groups under one motion for this? And the reason I ask that is I'm receiving messages from the trustee.
That there needs to be a motion to ratify?
Yeah, I think we do it.
Okay.
We can do it all at the end or
Okay.
individually. But
Let's do them individually, I think, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now.
Isn't that out of order? We don't have it as an action item.
Yeah, you're right, we don't have it as an action item.
It's only as an information
No,
item.
it's only information.
Put it back on next.
So
time for
maybe we have to
ratification.
redo it on the next meeting.
subsequent meeting, that's just fine.
Thank you, Mr. Norris, for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
I used to sit up there and wheel it.
I know. That's why I'm looking at you guys for guidance here. Giving you the look. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on for the contract administrator report with Mr. Sylvester from UMR.
And that's listed as a report because that's a question. It's listed as a report on the agenda.
You were going to discuss the update on the summary plan description as well as the update on the UMR contract.
Reporting information.
Correct.
Okay. So for the summary of benefits and coverage, that is a document that's required by the Affordable Care Act. It's kind of a consolidated, consumer-friendly document where a member can quickly and easily look at their benefits and coverage. That document has been approved and will be posted to the member website here within a couple of days. And that's, again, the document that's required by law to be accessible and distributed to your members. The summary SPD, summary plan description, is still in works. We had to do a late modification to the language for eligibility. That modification related to language to allow coverage for the governing board. We did agree a few weeks ago on language for that eligibility, and our legal team is wrapping up the SPD now, and we should have that within a couple of weeks for review and approval.
Any questions for Mr. Sylvester? Okay, great, thank you. Again, Mr. Sylvester, moving on to the next item on the agenda is the 2017-2018 meeting dates. And this item is open for discussion to talk about when our next meeting dates will be, if we want to plan them out for the foreseeable future, or if we want to just set the next meeting date. Any discussion?
My only comment is I kind of like Thursdays.
Okay, great.
Q4 is supposed to be until 5:30, I cut it short today so I can get here.
Okay, and that's every Thursday?
Well, for the semester, yeah.
Okay.
Mondays and Wednesdays are better or later on Thursdays. I think we're about 6, but I don't know if Wednesday.
Okay,
I'm good on Wednesdays too.
on Wednesdays also? Okay, is everybody okay on Wednesdays? How about you, Mr. Mills?
Like a 5 o'clock start time?
5 o'clock?
That should work for me.
Okay, wonderful. So 5 o'clock on Wednesdays. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And let's see, how about if we schedule our next meeting for the end of October, just so that we have some time to kind of think and process, but we don't wait too long for our next meeting.
Laura, just a suggestion, you might want to think about the frequency for the whole year.
Yes, definitely.
You might want to think about a regular week of the month, so that it becomes
Okay. More regular.
Yeah, so
That
instead
sounds
of
good.
Looking beginning of the month, 1 month, late of the month, next month.
Okay.
Say third week, third Wednesday of every month or something along those lines.
Okay.
I like your one.
Oh, sorry.
Third weeks? Third weeks?
Wednesday?
Third Wednesdays?
No.
Bach is on third Wednesday? Thank you. So let's look at not the third Wednesday. Let's look at the second Wednesday. Uh-huh.
Or fourth Wednesday.
Let's do the fourth Wednesday. I kind of like the fourth Wednesday a little bit better. So if we look at the fourth Wednesday and we look at an every other, I don't know, how do you feel about a monthly meeting or an every other month meeting? I'm thinking an every other month meeting might be sufficient right now. And then when we get into renewal time, we might have to up our meeting frequency at that point in time, but that won't be until probably January, I'm thinking. So maybe in our October meeting, we can set those meetings up. Okay?
And I just want to be cognizant that in November, December, the fourth Wednesday puts you into Thanksgiving. and Christmas.
Yes, definitely.
So you'll probably be adjusting those meetings. Well,
Yes.
The December meeting, because you're meeting in October, so.
Yes.
So
If
October
we,
25th, is that
October 25th, and then, December 20th, or move it up to December 13th.
I think it's going to be pretty difficult to set a regular meeting over the holiday months. So let's set October 25th. Does that look okay for everybody for right now? Let's do October 25th at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then, yes, then we can talk next in October about what our next meetings look like. Does that sound fair to everybody? I know we need to set up more regular meetings, but at this point in time with the holidays coming in, I think it just might be a little difficult to be on a consistent schedule. Okay. Okay, so do I need to do a motion for that? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the next meeting date for the SUSD 12 Employee Benefits Trust meeting as Wednesday, October 25th at 5 o'clock p.m. in the governing boardroom at Sunnyside?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Bolzoni,
Yes.
Ms. Hemsley,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Norris.
Yes.
Okay, and then the last item on the agenda is Suggestions for future agenda items. Are there any suggestions for future agenda items?
I have more of a question than a suggestion. How often will you do financials?
It's going to be quarterly was the intention,
Quarterly.
but I think the goal will be to align it with our meeting schedule.
Okay.
Any suggestions for future agenda items? I'd like to present a future agenda item to provide historical information about the Sunnyside Unified School District benefit program to the governing board at the next meeting. Okay.
Yeah, I'd appreciate all and any education on background.
Yeah, and my only issue is that I'm actually not available on that day on the next meeting. So, okay, Eric. Sorry.
That's right.
Wonderful. Did I say governing board? I meant trust board.
Trust board.
Thank you, everybody. I saw that, look. Any other future agenda items? Okay.
So, can you do a brief description of your plan?
Yeah,
You know, not necessarily every detail of what you're covering, what you're not covering, maybe some cost on what it's costing the employees for monthly or per paycheck.
And just for the board's reference, we did provide the printed benefit book also for your education also. But yes, definitely we will provide also a historical perspective too.
Thanks.
Definitely. Thank you.
So we're going to have a strategic discussion with regards to direction of the plan. Where we're going.
Okay, so another item for the next board meeting, another agenda item would be beginning a strategic discussion about plan direction and how we would like to see the plan move forward in upcoming years. Okay, any other items that need to be presented to the next agenda? Okay. Is that an action item? That's usually not, right? Okay. So is there any unfinished business?
Just to make sure that those items that we didn't take action on today are on
The ratification. Thank you. Thank you. And that will be on the next agenda also. Okay, wonderful. Well, at this point in time, I believe that we need to start signing the documents. Do we need to do that within the meeting, or do we adjourn the meeting before we sign? After?
You can do it after.
Okay, wonderful. So at this point in time, I'd like to adjourn the meeting, and thank you all for coming today and participating. I'm very excited to get this started.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I have to do roll call.
Oh,
Okay, Mr. Bolzami,
Yes.
Ms. Hamsley.
yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones, Mr. Norris.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Oh.
I just smacked it.
I know, I just want to use this all the time now. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for jumping in and helping direct this. So Nancy, just so you know, I'm sorry, not Nancy, Elaine. Elaine, just so you know, we did review all the documents in here, and so we're going to be going through. Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you.
Just go through it.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Never. You're indebted to us forever.
That's good. So these are the ones that they were talking about, wait, not these, the ones that.
I'm sorry, what was that? Today, yes, today, September
Which one was
7th,
it?
yes.
The issues, which one was it?
Yes, that's correct.
Which one was it? Oh, these over here.
Who's the
These
staff?
right here, I bet you the policies, all these.
No, and we haven't talked about, we haven't talked
so
about
let's
that
leave it
yet.
blank for
Maybe,
now.
I should put that on another agenda item.
This one?
Today's date,
When
yes,
our
that's
term
correct,
ends.
yes.
Just gonna make a note of it.
It is actually in the agreement, yeah. Yes, that's correct, September 7th.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much.
It's open-ended as of right now.
Will most likely be.
I know he's done that.
Oh, you know what? I should have stopped.
It said that I have no interest in the
I'd do the
Okay,
meetings.
that's okay.
I
Do
do
you
the
wanna-
minutes.
Do you want to
Can I
talk about
disconnect it
this,
from
who the
here?
vendors are, the
Yeah, we'd
UMR?
have- For a comprehensive list, we have to include